cleaning the mind is like cleaning a mirror. It restores reflection and clarity. But most people forget that a mirror covered in dust does not stop being a mirror. It only stops being useful. The same is true for our mind. At its core, the mind is meant to reflect truth, possibilities, creativity, compassion, and wisdom. But when it becomes covered with layers of negativity, fear, comparison, ego, and unresolved emotions, we no longer see ourselves or life accurately. The world may still be full of opportunities and beauty, but to a dusty mirror, even the brightest light seems dim. When a mirror is dirty, we often criticize the image we see. We think something is wrong with our face, our appearance, the lighting, or the surroundings. We forget that the problem is not with the object being reflected, but with the surface reflecting it. This is exactly what happens with the mind. When clarity decreases, instead of checking our internal state, we assume life has become worse. We blame situations, people, circumstances, timing, even luck. We rarely pause to notice that the problem is within the mind itself. A dusty mind creates distorted perceptions. It exaggerates problems, amplifies fears, dramatizes situations, and imagines threats that don't exist. A clean mirror shows things as they are. A clean mind allows us to see life without filters. It shows us our strengths instead of only our weaknesses. It reveals solutions where earlier we only saw difficulties. It highlights possibilities where earlier we only saw limitations. It softens our judgments and brings out empathy. It calms emotional storms and allows us to respond instead of reacting. But just like no mirror stays clean forever, the mind also requires regular maintenance. One stressful conversation can leave a smudge. One mistake can leave a mark. One disappointment can cloud our mood. One argument can leave emotional dust. Without cleaning these regularly, the mind becomes heavy and unclear. The danger is that dust gathers slowly, and because it increases gradually, we adjust to the unclear vision. We begin to think it is normal to feel stressed all the time, normal to feel doubtful, irritated, or overwhelmed. But it is not normal. It is simply unclean. Cleaning the mind does not require dramatic effort. It requires consistency and awareness. Small daily practices keep the mirror shining. Sitting quietly for a few minutes allows emotional dust to settle. Writing your thoughts helps remove layers of confusion. Speaking honestly clears unexpressed emotions. Forgiving someone lifts a weight from your heart. Even gratitude acts like a gentle cloth that restores the shine of the mind. Every mindful action becomes a stroke that cleans the mirror. A clean mind also reflects people more clearly. When your mind is burdened you misinterpret their actions, assume intentions, and take things personally. But when the mind is clean, you see things with fairness. You communicate better, love more deeply, and understand more openly. Relationships improve not because other people change, but because your internal mirror becomes clearer. One of the greatest blessings of a clean mind is the ability to see yourself clearly. Without dust, you recognize your worth without needing external validation. You see your mistakes without losing confidence. You acknowledge your progress without becoming arrogant. You understand your emotions without being controlled by them. Clarity becomes your natural state rather than something you chase. And just like a clean mirror brings light into a room, a clean mind brings light into your life. It helps you move forward with confidence, make decisions with wisdom, and experience each moment with presence. You begin to see life as it truly is, full of potential, beauty, lessons, and endless opportunities to grow. Forgiveness, gratitude, and understanding work as powerful internal cleaning tools, capable of removing years of emotional dust from the mind and heart. These qualities do not simply make us feel better, they transform the environment within us. Just as water, soap, and a cloth can restore a dusty surface, these three inner tools restore clarity, peace, and emotional strength. Yet, despite their power, many people hesitate to use them because they assume forgiveness is weakness, gratitude is unrealistic, and understanding is unnecessary. But these are the very practices that keep the mind clean enough to experience life fully. Forgiveness is often misunderstood. People think forgiveness means accepting what happened or excusing someone's behavior. But forgiveness is not about the other person at all. It is about freeing ourselves from the weight of carrying resentment. When we refuse to forgive, the person we hold anger toward may continue living their life peacefully while we remain trapped in emotional dust. The mind becomes stuck replaying the same story, unable to move forward. Forgiveness wipes that stuck energy clean. It does not change the past, but it releases the grip the past has on us. It removes bitterness, loosens tension, and allows us to breathe again. With forgiveness, the heart becomes lighter and the mind becomes clearer. Gratitude is another tool that many underestimate. Gratitude shifts our focus from what is missing to what is present. The more we train ourselves to notice what is good, the less space we leave for negativity to settle. Gratitude does not require a perfect life. It requires an awakened eye. Even in difficult moments, there is something to appreciate: a lesson, a person who stood by us, a strength we developed, a chance to rebuild. Gratitude clears emotional dust because it prevents complaints, comparisons, and dissatisfaction from accumulating. When gratitude becomes a habit, the mind automatically stays cleaner, more positive, and more stable. It helps us remember that even if life is not perfect, it is still full of blessings waiting to be acknowledged. Understanding is perhaps the most powerful cleaning tool of all. When we understand, we stop reacting impulsively. Understanding creates compassion. Compassion creates patience. Patience creates peace. Most misunderstandings happen because we see the world only from our perspective. We forget that people behave according to their experiences, fears, insecurities, and unseen struggles. Understanding does not mean agreeing with someone, but it means seeing beyond the surface. When we understand, we don't take things personally. We don't jump to conclusions. We don't assume. This ability to step into someone else's shoes clears emotional dust instantly because it reduces unnecessary anger, frustration, and judgment. These three tools, when used consistently, become emotional hygiene. Just like bathing every day keeps the body clean, regularly practicing forgiveness, gratitude, and understanding keeps the mind clean. If we avoid these practices, emotional dust settles and becomes harder to remove. A simple hurt becomes bitterness. A small disappointment becomes discouragement. A minor misunderstanding becomes a broken relationship. But when these tools are applied early, the mind remains light, open, and resilient. The beauty of these tools is that they work quietly, almost invisibly. There's no dramatic moment, no applause, no visible trophy. But internally, they create a shift so powerful that it changes how we think, how we feel, and how we respond. They reduce the emotional burden we carry and bring back mental clarity. They restore our ability to see life with balance and calmness. Using these tools does not mean life becomes perfect. It means we become more capable of handling life. With forgiveness, we stop reopening old wounds. With gratitude, we stop magnifying problems. With understanding, we stop creating new conflicts. Together, these tools keep the inner mirror clean, allowing us to see ourselves and life with honesty and compassion. Neglected emotions grow heavier, cared for emotions heal. And this simple truth explains why so many people feel weighed down without understanding the real reason. Emotions are not meant to be locked away or ignored. They are meant to be felt, acknowledged, understood, and gently released. When emotions are suppressed, they do not disappear. They simply sink deeper within us, gathering weight over time. What begins as a small hurt can become a lasting wound if it is left unattended. What starts as a moment of sadness can turn into a habit of unhappiness if never addressed. Just like dust becomes thicker when ignored, emotions become heavier when neglected. Many people believe ignoring emotions makes them stronger. They think staying silent means staying in control. But silence is not strength, it is storage. Stored emotions behave like stored dust. They pile up. They settle into the corners of the mind, influencing how we think, act, and react. Neglected anger turns into bitterness. Neglected fear turns into anxiety. Neglected sadness turns into hopelessness. Neglected guilt turns into self-doubt. And neglected disappointment turns into a mindset that expects nothing good to happen again. Each neglected emotion becomes a weight we carry into every new day. Caring for emotions does not require a dramatic process. It requires honesty and presence. When you feel hurt, acknowledging the hurt prevents it from growing into resentment. When you feel afraid, recognizing the fear stops it from turning into paralysis. When you feel misunderstood, expressing yourself prevents the emotion from turning into loneliness. Emotions are like children. They behave badly when ignored, but calm down when given attention. When you allow yourself to feel, you allow yourself to heal. The heaviness of neglected emotions also affects our physical body. tension in the shoulders, tightness in the chest, headaches, restlessness, fatigue. All can be signs of emotional weight that has never been addressed. People try to treat these symptoms with distractions, scrolling, eating, overworking, sleeping too much, or keeping themselves overly busy without noticing that these are temporary escape routes, not solutions. The weight remains until the emotion is acknowledged. Healing begins the moment we stop running from what we feel. Another reason emotions feel heavier is because they become intertwined with our thoughts. A single negative emotion can produce hundreds of negative thoughts if left unchecked. These thoughts repeat themselves like an echo, reminding us again and again of something we are trying to forget. But forgetting is not healing. Healing happens when we confront the emotion itself, when we understand the root. The thoughts lose their power the moment we shine a light on the emotion. The darkness surrounding it begins to fade. Caring for emotions involves expressing them in healthy ways, talking to someone you trust, journaling your feelings, sitting quietly to reflect, crying when needed, or simply admitting, "I am not okay right now." These acts release emotional weight. They make room in the heart for relief, understanding, and eventual clarity. Expression prevents accumulation. Accumulation creates heaviness. People often underestimate the strength required to face emotions. It is far easier to distract ourselves than to sit with our own heart. But emotional strength is not built through avoidance. It is built through honesty. When you care for an emotion, you reclaim control. When you neglect it, the emotion controls you. The heaviness grows when emotions remain unacknowledged, because hidden pain tries to find expression in other forms. Anger, withdrawal, impatience, confusion, or even a sudden loss of motivation. Caring for emotions also teaches self-compassion. It helps you understand your inner world. Instead of judging yourself for your feelings, you begin to treat yourself with kindness, giving your emotional wounds the same patience you would give to a physical injury. You wouldn't expect a cut to heal if you never cleaned it. Emotional wounds require the same attention. With care, emotions soften. With neglect, they harden. And the difference in weight between these two experiences shapes the quality of our inner life, our relationships, our decisions, and our sense of peace. A clean mind reveals opportunities that a cluttered mind cannot see. And this truth explains why two people can experience the same situation, but respond to it completely differently. When the mind is filled with dust, worries, doubts, regrets, and unresolved emotions, its capacity to recognize possibilities becomes extremely limited. It is not that opportunities disappear, it is that a cluttered mind has no clarity to notice them. Just as a room full of old junk leaves no space for new furniture, a mind full of old negativity leaves no room for new beginnings. Clutter restricts vision. Decluttering expands it. When the mind is clean, it becomes sharp and perceptive. Instead of focusing on what is missing, it begins to see what is available. Instead of complaining about what went wrong, it starts observing what can go right. Instead of repeating old patterns, it begins recognizing new paths. Opportunities rarely come with loud announcements, they arrive quietly. Sometimes as a passing idea, sometimes as a conversation, sometimes as a small chance to try something new. A clean mind catches these subtle openings immediately. A cluttered mind misses them because it is too busy replaying fears and doubts. Clutter clouds judgment. It makes simple decisions feel overwhelming. It makes new challenges feel threatening. It makes us overthink, hesitate, and doubt ourselves unnecessarily. A cluttered mind magnifies risks and minimizes possibilities. It turns us into prisoners of what could go wrong. But the moment we begin clearing this clutter, mental space opens up, allowing fresh thoughts, creative ideas, and intuitive insights to flow. This space is where opportunities are recognized. Think of people who seem lucky, those who always find the right chances at the right time. It is not luck alone, it is clarity. Their mind is not drowning in unnecessary noise. Because the noise is less, their awareness is higher, their intuition becomes more accurate. Their decisions become more confident. They can sense when to move forward and when to step back. They can see doors others overlook. A clean mind also allows us to interpret challenges differently. Where a cluttered mind sees obstacles, a clean mind sees lessons. Where a cluttered mind sees threats, a clean mind sees growth. Where a cluttered mind feels helpless, a clean mind feels capable. This shift in perspective is what opens pathways to opportunities. Most opportunities hide inside challenges, but only a clear mind can uncover them. Clutter also blocks creativity. When internal noise is loud, creative ideas feel distant. The mind becomes so exhausted dealing with emotional dust that it has no energy left for imagination. Yet creativity is essential. It is what helps us innovate, find solutions, and create new possibilities. A clean mind brings back this creative flow. It becomes easier to come up with ideas, easier to plan, easier to find inspiration, easier to take initiative. A clean mind is naturally productive and naturally optimistic. Another profound advantage of a clean mind is the ability to trust oneself. When the mind is cluttered, self-doubt becomes louder than intuition. Even when a good opportunity appears, we hesitate, overthink, or assume we are not ready. But when the mind is clear, self-doubt weakens, confidence increases, our decisions become aligned, we feel more capable of taking steps towards something new. This inner trust opens doors that would otherwise remain closed. A clean mind also improves relationships, and good relationships themselves open countless opportunities. When you think clearly, you communicate better. You understand others more deeply. You respond with patience and empathy. Conflicts decrease. Harmony increases. This emotional clarity naturally attracts supportive people, meaningful connections, and uplifting environments, all of which create new opportunities for growth, success, and joy. Ultimately, a clean mind is not just peaceful, it is powerful. It is a mind that sees possibilities instead of problems, chances instead of challenges, paths instead of barriers. The more space you create inside, the more opportunities life can fill it with. Life has a way of placing dust on our minds, just like a shelf that hasn't been touched in a while. We don't notice it immediately. It gathers slowly, quietly, without warning. One small disappointment, one harsh word, one failure, one betrayal, each adds a thin layer, and before we realize it, our clarity fades, our enthusiasm drops, and our inner shine becomes dull. But the good news is this: just as dust is never permanent, neither are the burdens sitting on our heart. We simply need the courage to clean them off. Many of us walk around carrying emotional dust from months or even years ago. Someone's opinion still hurts us. A mistake still embarrasses us. A setback still scares us. But why do we keep giving old dust permission to stay? Every morning gives us a new chance to gently wipe away the heaviness and reclaim the light inside us. Think of a mirror. When clean, it reflects the world beautifully. When covered in dirt, we blame the surroundings, the lighting, even the mirror itself, instead of wiping what's on the surface. Our mind works the same way. When we feel blocked, it's not life that's always wrong. Sometimes our own inner dust, fear, anger, ego, comparison is simply waiting to be cleaned. Cleaning that dust doesn't mean denying the past. It means not allowing it to dominate the present. It means choosing forgiveness over carrying resentment. It means correcting a mistake instead of replaying it. It means giving your inner world the same care you give to your home, because neglected spaces never stay peaceful. Every time you release a negative thought, you wipe a little. Every time you let go of a grudge, you wipe a little more. Every time you choose patience, understanding, and gratitude, you reduce layers that once felt too heavy to bear. Slowly, the shine returns. Your confidence rises. Your joy becomes natural again. You start seeing opportunities where earlier you saw obstacles. That's the power of a clean mind. Some people wait for life to clean the dust for them. But dust doesn't clean itself. Growth requires intention. Peace requires maintenance. Happiness requires daily polishing. And the tools are already in your hands: awareness, acceptance, forgiveness, and steady effort. Dust on the mind builds slowly through disappointments, fears, and past pain, often without us recognizing how much it has accumulated. It never arrives dramatically. It settles softly, invisibly, and consistently, the same way dust settles in a quiet room. One small hurt, a moment of failure, a careless comment, a broken expectation. Each adds a tiny layer. And because these layers gather quietly, we rarely pause to notice them. We simply continue with our routines, unaware that our inner clarity is becoming dull. What once felt light begins to feel heavy, not because life has changed drastically, but because our mind is now carrying more than it was meant to hold. Think of the very first time someone made you doubt yourself. It might have felt small, just a remark, a look, or a moment of embarrassment. But that single instance may have left a trace. Then later, another event added to it, a mistake you made, a rejection you didn't expect, a promise that someone broke. These moments stick to us, and we rarely clean them off. Instead, we stack them as if we're preparing our hearts to carry emotional luggage for the long term. Over time, this luggage becomes heavy, and we end up dragging ourselves through days that should feel meaningful and alive. What's interesting is that we blame life for feeling unclear, lost, or uninspired, when in reality, the problem lies not outside but inside. When a window is dirty, sunlight doesn't stop shining. Only the view becomes blurry. Similarly, when our mind is covered with old dust, fear, doubt, regrets, the opportunities and beauty of life remain present, but we can no longer see them. Disappointments from yesterday begin influencing decisions of today. Pain from the past shapes our reactions in the present. This is how inner dust quietly steals our joy without us noticing. Sometimes the dust is formed by emotional leftovers, things we never processed properly. A conversation we should have had but didn't. A question that never got an answer. A wound that we covered instead of healing. Avoiding truth allows emotional dust to stay, and once it settles, it becomes part of how we think, feel, behave, and judge. Even small dust, if gathered over months and years, can create a thick layer that hides the real version of who we are. Fear is another type of dust that builds gradually. It might begin with one failure, perhaps a business attempt that didn't work, a relationship that ended painfully, a dream that fell apart. From that moment, a thin layer of fear settles. The next time we try, the voice inside whispers, "Remember last time?" Another layer forms. Over the years, fear collects so deeply that we stop taking steps altogether. We tell ourselves we lack confidence, but the truth is that our confidence is just buried under layers, waiting to be brushed away. Disappointments also create dust. They may come from people we trusted, in the situations we expected to turn out differently, or moments when life felt unfair. Each disappointment leaves a mark. Over time, we stop expecting good things, not because good things won't come, but because the dust has made our vision too hazy to notice them. This is why inner dust is so dangerous. It builds quietly, stays unnoticed, and gradually changes us without our permission. It steals peace, weakens enthusiasm, and makes us forget our own worth. And unless we pause and clean it consciously, it continues to gather. Emotional dust dims our clarity, energy, and ability to see life positively, and it often does so in such subtle ways that we rarely recognize its influence. When our mind is heavy with past pain, unresolved emotions, and lingering negativity, our ability to think clearly becomes clouded. We begin to interpret situations through the filter of old wounds rather than present reality. It becomes difficult to make decisions because every thought is weighed down by hesitation, self-doubt. Envy or fear, life may still offer possibilities and opportunities, but we are unable to perceive them with an open mind because the emotional dust blurs our vision. Imagine waking up every day with a window that has not been cleaned for months. No matter how bright the sun shines outside, the light entering your room will be dull and weak. The problem is not the sun, it is the window. In the same way, when the heart is covered with emotional dust, even hopeful moments feel dull. Even joyful events feel incomplete. It becomes difficult to feel enthusiasm. You wake up tired even when you slept well, because the real exhaustion is not physical, it is emotional. This emotional dust can come from many sources. It could be the disappointment of a relationship that didn't work out, the fear generated by a mistake that ended badly, or the frustration of a dream that never materialized. It could come from failures you never forgave yourself for, or expectations you couldn't meet. Over time, these experiences create an inner heaviness. And this heaviness becomes the silent filter through which you perceive everything. A simple comment feels like an insult. A small setback feels like a disaster. A slow day feels like a failure. When emotional dust accumulates, our reactions become larger than the situation because the mind is responding not to the present moment, but to layers of past pain. Energy is one of the first things that emotional dust steals from us. When the heart is burdened, even tasks that once felt easy require enormous effort. You lose interest in things you previously enjoyed. You find yourself overthinking simple decisions and doubting even your strengths. You procrastinate not because you're lazy, but because your mind is overwhelmed. The mental weight drags your spirit down, leaving you drained before the day even begins. Emotional dust acts like invisible handcuffs, tying you to old pain and blocking your natural flow of enthusiasm. This dust also affects how we see people. When the mind is unclear, we misinterpret intentions, overreact to small things, and sometimes even hurt others unintentionally. We may begin expecting the worst from people because our past experiences have conditioned us to be cautious, guarded, or suspicious. But by doing so, we close doors that could have led to meaningful relationships, new beginnings, and deeper connections. The dust makes us forget that not everyone is the person who hurt us, and not every situation will repeat our past. Life itself begins to look darker. Even when good things happen, emotional dust whispers, "Don't trust this, it won't last." So instead of embracing happiness, we prepare for disappointment. Instead of celebrating small wins, we minimize them. Instead of believing in possibilities, we hold on to doubts. Emotional dust tricks the mind into expecting negativity, and once that mindset forms, it becomes the lens through which we see everything. The danger lies in the fact that emotional dust is rarely recognized as the cause. We assume life has become harder, people have become colder, or opportunities have become fewer. But much of the time, it is the dust, unseen yet powerful, that silently shapes our perception. Clearing it requires courage, awareness, and emotional honesty. Just like dust is temporary, our burdens are also removable with awareness, But many of us forget this simple truth. We begin to treat emotional weight as if it is a permanent part of our identity. We start believing that pain defines us, that failures shape our destiny, and that the difficult moments we experienced are somehow attached to us forever. But in reality, emotional dust is just like real dust, present noticeable, maybe uncomfortable, but never unremovable. The moment we develop awareness, the moment we pause and observe what we are holding inside, we gain the power to clean it off. Awareness is the cloth that wipes the mind. Without it, we continue walking around with the same heaviness, thinking it is normal. Many people carry burdens they no longer need to carry simply because they never stopped to question why they are still holding them. A past insult still affects their confidence. A failure from years ago still shapes their choices. A betrayal still influences how they trust others. These are layers of dust that could have been removed long ago, but because we lacked awareness, they continue to stay, influencing every decision and every emotion. Sometimes burdens stay because we assume time will remove them. Time heals a lot, but not everything. Time can make memories fade, but emotional wounds require intention. Dust doesn't leave a room because days pass, someone must clean it. Similarly, emotional burdens don't disappear automatically. They fade only when we acknowledge them, understand them, and actively choose to release them. Awareness helps us identify what we need to let go of, whether it is a memory, a fear, a belief, or even a person. The sense of permanence we attach to our burdens often comes from repeating negative stories in our minds. If you tell yourself often enough that you are not good enough, you start believing it. If you replay a painful event again and again, it becomes part of your mental identity. But awareness interrupts this cycle. It allows you to step out of the story and observe it like an outsider. It makes you realize that your burdens are experiences, not definitions, chapters, not the entire book, temporary dust, not your true nature. When we develop awareness, we begin to understand that pain is a visitor, not a roommate. It can knock on the door of our heart, but it does not have the right to stay indefinitely. Burdens are meant to be processed, not preserved. Understanding this gives us freedom, the freedom to detach from what no longer serves us. The most extraordinary transformation happens when we recognize that we are not our burdens. We are the ones who carry them, and if we are the ones carrying them, we also have the power to put them down. This realization is the beginning of emotional liberation. Suddenly, the pains that felt permanent begin to loosen. The fears that felt unshakable begin to soften. The regrets that haunted us begin to fade. Awareness doesn't erase the past. It removes the unnecessary weight of carrying it. Another beautiful aspect of awareness is its ability to prevent new dust from settling. When we observe our thoughts regularly, we stop small frustrations from turning into resentment. When we acknowledge our emotions openly, they don't get stored as hidden wounds. When we express ourselves honestly, Nothing stays trapped inside long enough to become toxic. Regular awareness becomes emotional hygiene, just like daily cleaning prevents dust from accumulating. Daily mindfulness prevents burdens from forming. Awareness also gives us the power to differentiate between what is happening now and what happened before. It allows us to respond to life based on the present moment, not the past. And this single shift can lighten the heart more than anything else. Holding on to old memories prevents new possibilities from entering our lives. Yet most of us cling to the past more tightly than we realize. The human mind has a habit of replaying events that hurt us, embarrassed us, disappointed us, or left us confused. These memories, even when they are years old, stay alive because we keep feeding them with attention, and every time we revisit them, we unintentionally keep the door close to the new experiences life tries to send our way. A mind that is full cannot receive. A heart that is occupied cannot welcome anything fresh. The past becomes a tenant that refuses to leave, leaving no space for the present to breathe. Many people think they are simply remembering the past, but in reality, they are reliving it. They have carried the same story for so long that it has become a filter through which they see the world. When someone tries to love them, they remember the person who hurt them. When a new opportunity appears, they recall the failure that once broke their confidence. When a good moment arrives, they predict it will end badly because something similar ended badly before. Without realizing, they allow yesterday to write today's script. And as long as that continues, life cannot offer the new chapters it wants to give. The past has a strange way of convincing us that its lessons are permanent. It whispers, "Be careful. You know what happened last time?" It warns, "Don't trust too easily. You might get hurt again." It tells us, "Don't try. You may fail like before." These thoughts feel protective, but they actually build walls. And walls don't just keep pain out, they keep growth out. They keep joy out. They keep new beginnings out. The mind becomes like a room full of old furniture, so packed that no new piece can be brought in, no matter how beautiful it may be. Clinging to old memories also affects our emotional patterns. If someone betrayed us in the past, we become overly suspicious in the present. If someone rejected us, we start believing we are unworthy. If someone abandoned us, we fear closeness. These emotional leftovers influence how we behave, how we speak, how we connect, and how we perceive others. Without knowing, we punish new people for the actions of old ones. We sabotage opportunities before they even mature. We create problems in situations that are actually clean simply because our inner world is cluttered with old pain. The most painful part is that many people wait for the past to magically release them. But the past does not loosen its grip until we loosen ours. Letting go is not forgetting. It is choosing not to let the memory hold power over us anymore. It is realizing that life is constantly renewing itself, and we must renew ourselves with it. When we stop revisiting old wounds, they stop reopening, when we stop replaying old stories, they stop defining us. And when we stop expecting the past to guide our future, new doors finally begin to open. What makes holding on to old memories even heavier is the illusion that they give us identity. People often say, "This is who I am now because of what I went through." But this belief traps them. The past may shape us, but it is not supposed to cage us. It is meant to teach, not dominate. Just like a seed must break the soil to grow upwards in there, we must break away from old memories to grow into the person we are meant to become. New possibilities are always trying to enter our lives. New relationships, new ideas, new opportunities, new joy, new clarity, new beginnings. They are waiting at the doorstep. But they cannot come in until we clean the space that the past has occupied for too long. The moment we release old memories, we make room for life to surprise us again.